Hello everyone and welcome to Moonride. So I have to admit to you, sometimes these days it's hard to make a video. It's hard to sit in front of you and be optimistic about the future when I watch what is happening in our government right now. It is truly terrifying, and just for a moment I'd like to identify with you and say, if you're terrified, you are not crazy. This doesn't mean we sit back and do nothing. If anything, we should try to do more. Let's just check in with Spirit here, Man in the Moon, and see what is it that we can do to make things better. Mm. So it's funny because I often see people knitting, and I don't knit or anything, but it just makes me think of like weaving together new things, weaving together, and it does take some time. And it takes some patience, and it all involves kind of sitting and just doing this kind of weaving. So you don't really need to do that with your hands, although you could, not a bad idea. But at the same time, understand that in a way we are reweaving our lives. Spend some time, rethinking about things, reweaving things, and try to get beyond the negatives of it's all going to be bad. Stress and worry will not help you now. What will help you now is a question. We're being reintroduced to things that are important: family, relationships, our own spiritual souls, the way that we're evolving. That's another sort of almost direct set of words that I get from Spirit. See what you can do to find positives. So obviously terrible things are happening around you, but is there any positive thing that's happening? And when we're doing that, we're not disregarding the suffering that we're seeing around us. We're just trying to find some way to reintegrate the positive. Believe me, it's hard to make these videos sometimes. It's hard for me to find the positives. So that's not a criticism of you. It's just advice, because there are some things that are good right now. We just have to reach out and touch them. Understand that everybody is really considering their immortal soul right now. We're all being forced to sit at home and think about, what's my legacy? What kind of how do I want to, live this life? How can I be ethical? How can I think of others? That's really what's going on. You're being forced to think of others in really difficult ways. There are people out there who must go out and work because if they don't, they will lose their jobs. That's how they have to feed their kids. These are real people with real issues, and they're medical professionals putting their lives on the line every day to help others. They don't have to do that, but they do. So don't imagine that this is easy. We're really being confronted with ethical issues every single day. So, do give yourself a break and understand that the stress that you're feeling is very, very real. The question is, how can we live up to this? And, I see like a knife cutting. It's cutting through to the truth right now, man. This virus is it's gonna make, it's either you're telling the truth or you're lying. It's cutting right through. And if you are prone to believe in lies, it's going to be dangerous for you right now. The truth really will set you free, and it will save your life. Mm. Um, Feel free to, contact me or make an appointment, because a lot of the work that I'm doing is introducing people to their protective spirits, and I don't want to take this moment to advertise. It doesn't seem appropriate, especially advertise for myself. But this is work you could do on your own. Who protects you? What spirits are on your team? There's a method that you can go through on your own. You don't need me to help you. You can search for this in a lot of different ways. But if you do contact me, that is likely the work that I would do with you right now. It's much less about predicting and a lot more about finding your own way of predicting. So you can, again, you can do this on your own. Whatever spiritual work you can do right now, do it. And it doesn't have to be something you don't like. Do it. Go for it. Read books that are a little bit more profound. Read books that have meaning, because that's what we need right now. We need meaning. Topical, distracting stories. They're all nice and everything. It's great to read, and maybe it's appropriate to have a distraction. But along with that, read important books, 1984, whatever, books that have real resonance with morality and ethics and society and how we want to be in the future. That will sort of give you some insights. It will make you reflect on why things are the way they are. And just that understanding is worthwhile. One thing also is this is bringing us to a new understanding of the value of community. I see people breaking bread together, and it's like this sort of ritual where when we are able to actually meet our neighbors, it's going to be like our friends, it's going to be like a really, really important event. It's like an amazing sort of re-empowering of what friendships, family connections mean. So when we're able to do that and understand that it's going to be really exciting and that we're going to really value those friendships even more, those relationships even more. And it doesn't matter if it's, your relationship with a pet, you live alone. It doesn't matter if your relationships are with a community online. That makes no difference. Just remember that it's sort of reinvigorating that and making you go, wow, this is more important. This relationship with my pet is actually more important than traveling. It's making us focus on what matters. And I'm inspired to tell you sort of detail about my family tree. My great-grandfather was very rich and very powerful, and all his kids were kind of a mess. They never got any love. I have another great-grandfather who was rich until the stock market crashed, and he lost everything, and they were basically living in a house that fell apart. But all of his children did better because he was able to show them love. And even though he didn't have any money anymore, he managed to get them all through college. He managed to give them enough love and affection that they became pretty successful people. And I mean successful in life, not in money so much, but in happier relationships and, better kids and all that stuff. So remember that this is a defining moment for a lot of people where we realize the importance. When you don't have money, what do you have to give? Love. Maybe that's not such a bad thing. Maybe the fact that this great-grandfather went out of business was actually a good thing for his kids because he spent more time with them, and he didn't have money to give, so he just gave them love and understanding and affection and conversation. So it's certainly not feeling that way right now, but what are the good things that you can take away from this on a personal level? Ultimately, those things are going to matter a lot more than money. And you learn a lot through difficulty, right? You learn more sometimes through difficulty, I would say almost always, than you do from an easy life. Okay, what else? What else can we tell people? One thing you do not realize is the light really is shining on the earth right now. It's like a beam of light is like being projected onto the world, and the beam of light is a place that we can go and sort of absorb that light, but understand that the beam of light is sort of protecting us and forcing us to change. I literally see like a beam of light hitting the planet, and it's not hitting the planet from all sides, but as the earth turns, that beam of light turns. To the greatest degree that you can, orientate yourself towards the light, towards the generous and kind, towards goodness. this, again, doesn't mean that you are a doormat. That's the last thing you need to do. If something's wrong, you got to say so. But maybe you can say so in a way that elevates everyone. Maybe you can do this work in a way that, maybe saying no in a good way would be also part of spirit. But at the same time, you can really orient yourself as much towards this lighter, more loving, more sort of generous spirit. It'll really help you because you'll feel it. No matter what's going on around you, you will feel it. Whatever it takes to do that, and I don't care if that means tap dancing or meditating, whatever it takes, just do one or two things every day to just sort of nudge yourself towards the light. You don't need to believe in any spiritual God or anything like that. If you're an agnostic or atheist, what do you believe that will bring you into being a better, more full of light person for your community? It makes no difference. Choose your way. Just choose your way. If it means reading about the Tao Te Ching, that's up to you. And just orient yourself towards the light. I always find that the light will take you where you need to go. If you're supposed to read about Buddhism right now, that's the book that's going to wind up in your lap. If you're supposed to read just a J.D. Salinger book, that's going to be the spiritual development that you have right now. But don't expect yourself to do every single thing in a spiritual way tomorrow. That's just not going to happen. What's a small thing that you can do for part of your day that will sort of orient you in a direction? Right? Don't expect perfection at any point, because you'll almost certainly never achieve it. Almost no one ever is perfect. So one could argue there some people are, but it's pretty rare. And you don't have to be there. That's not necessarily the time you were born into. Just what can you do that's a little bit more oriented towards the light? How would you like to be remembered? That's a question. Do an act this week that would be one that, on the last day of your life, you would remember, well, I made some mistakes, but I did that really cool thing once and fed the homeless, or organized to help, or, listen to my friend who's having a bad time. What would you like to go out the door with, knowing you had done right? No one is going to be perfect. We all make horrible mistakes. But don't let that stop you from doing a good thing this week, whatever that means to you. And I don't care what political party you're from. Just whatever you can do, even if it's a little teeny small thing. Even if it's just saying you're sorry to somebody for your role in the mistake that you made. Even if they don't say sorry back. What could you do? Forget about the reaction. It's more important that you did the right thing, period. Keep coming back to love. What does love mean? What does love look like for you? How were you loved best? What has somebody done for you that was generous and kind? How could you do that for another and sort of pass that along? It doesn't have to be a 24/7 job. Many of you are already feeling a lot of stress, under a lot of pressure, a lot of work. It doesn't have to be an hour of time. It could be a minute. If it helps you, you could just go to bed every night knowing, well, I made some progress with my soul. I did these two things. That's what I'm able to do today. I might just use an analogy. Today I'm able to do this video. I may not be able to do that much more because I got a lot on my mind, but at least I could make this video. And okay, maybe I'm going to make two. What else? What else, Spirit? We're all connected. Even the people that we don't agree with, that we don't like, we think are doing really bad things right now, we are all connected. So maybe those people are there to help us learn something. Doesn't mean we accept their behaviors. We're all connected. Don't forget that. And we all go and come from the same place. The universe is a space of learning. This is what we're learning right now. other people had to learn in much worse situations. During our lifetimes, there are other people on this planet who are in much, much worse situations, and they were learning. Even if they're doing the wrong thing, they were learning. So understand that we are learning, and there is a purpose to this. And if you can keep a perspective on what are you learning out of this, even if it's a very difficult lesson, it will make it a lot more worthwhile. I also see that this planetary change that's coming, it's like that beam of light becomes a whole or global wide light. The light will get bigger. We will get through this. Ultimately, we will be better than we were before. In some ways, this crisis is bringing out the truth in all of us. And we must agree and acknowledge the truth, whatever we are doing. That is a key to the success. Also acknowledge that we're learning and that it really will get better, although we're in the middle of it and we don't feel that. It really will get better. I do see a 3 to 5 year period. That's just the number that popped in my head. So it might take us a while to get there. Just remember that other crises in the history of our society have taken much longer than 3 to 5 years, right? How many centuries were witches burned at the stake? Be glad you don't live then, right? So remember, there is a light at the end of this tunnel, and we can do it if we help each other and stick together and become a little bit wiser. All right, thanks for watching.